to presentation of ballots. So with that, I call this meeting back to order at 8:43 a.m. Okay, so we're going to start with the presentation of ballots. So Miles will be holding the ballot box. So he'll be down here, right? Yep, right there. So we're going to call you up similarly to how we called you up for attendance. And then if you could send one delegate from your school to present your ballots to Miles, and then we will get them tallied and have announcements later today. All right, so can you just give me the first ones? Is that, what is it? Okay, so let's get started. We're gonna call schools by 5, so, shh. All right, so, yeah, you can say the first one.
Ayaginach Litnauwig.
Good job, Chanel. Next is Bethel Regional High School, Bristol Bay, Chivac, Chugiak, and that's the first 5. Next is Cordova, Craig, Eagle River, Eielson, and Glen Allen. You don't have to bring your placards. Here you go. That pen's not going to function. Oh, it's barely working. Next is Haynes, Huna, Hutchison, Joanne A. Alexi Memorial, and Kasigaluk. We are in order, guys. Next is King Kong. Oh, sorry. Just kidding. That's so embarrassing. I'm sorry. We said Kong earlier. Oh. Very sorry, King Cove. Kodiak, Lake and Penn, Lathrop High School, and Lumen Christi. Okay. Sorry, we are in order. Okay. Next is Matsu Career Tech, Monroe Catholic High School, Mount Edgecombe, Newtok, right? Okay, and North Pole High School. Okay, we had Kong, we had King Go. Next is Palmer High School, Petersburg, Sandpoint, Service High School, and Sitka.
Could someone please press the power button on that projector? Oh. Never mind.
Oh my God, stop.
It's up there for you now.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Next is, sorry, this is a really important part of our General Assembly, even though this is happening behind us, so make sure to stay serious to this. Next is Skagway, South Anchorage, Thunder Mountain, Tri-Valley, and Unalaska. Our last schools are Valdez, Wasilla, West Anchorage, Yakutat, Juneau-Douglas, and West Valley.
So excited I get to retire. It's too hard.
Are there any other schools who have not been called that have ballots? Yeah. Did they come up? Did Juneau-Douglas turn in their ballot? You can just thumbs up. Okay, thank you. All right, so we are still in order. So that concludes our presentation of ballots. We will now move on to the Twitter report.
So, Michaela Hunter from Region 5, will you please stand up right now? She took the time to create this lovely picture of our AASG president for the caption, "I have an idea. How about you wait till I finish my sentence before you raise your placard?" So, give it up for Region 5. You can contact Ruby for your prize. And also, the next Twitter challenge that you can do right now as soon as I tweet it is to tweet a quote of the conference. Make sure it's appropriate. It can be something that your friend said. It can be about leadership. It can be something funny. Just make sure that it's school appropriate. Thank you.
We are still in order.
My deepest apologies to both Kong and King Cove.
Really sorry.
Okay, we'll now move on to communications with Elena.
Okay, so we have two of the little spirit competitions to announce because I forgot to announce one yesterday. And so what we were looking for yesterday is who had the best decorum during the GA, and that was Region 2. They got that, so good for you guys. And then today, oh, okay, yeah, round of applause for them. Okay. And then today, our spirit competition was which region had the highest percentile of people dressed out, and that was Region 4 with 100%. And we have one more competition that we will be doing today.
She's not biased, we're just counting.
100%. They were 9%.
All right, we will now continue the discussion of resolutions. Where did it go? We finished resolution 2 completely. Okay, so just to remind us, we finished resolution 3 completely. So now we are on resolution 4. So with that, I entertain a motion to bring resolution number 4 to the floor. So moved by Skagway, seconded by Juneau-Douglas. In the middle. Is there any discussion on bringing resolution number 4 to the floor? Remember that we are in order, guys. Any discussion on bringing resolution number 4 to the floor? All right, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of bringing resolution number 4 to the floor? Any opposition? Resolution number 4 has been brought to the floor. Will the authors of resolution number 4 please approach the board?
Ayaginach Litnauwik.
Approach the board. You need your placard.
Oh, they have it. Sorry, I didn't see them. Here you go.
Be it resolved by the Alaska Association of Student Government. Whereas coffee can prevent depression, people who regularly drink fully caffeinated coffee have a 20% lower risk of depression than non-coffee drinkers. Whereas coffee may be part of a longer, healthier life, a study found that among older adults who drank coffee had a lower risk of dying from diabetes, heart disease, respiratory disease, and other medical complications than non-coffee drinkers. Whereas many studies have examined the effects of caffeine in the brain, finding that caffeine can improve mood, reaction time, memory, vigilance, and general cognitive function. Whereas coffee can also improve the athletic performance in 2 separate meta-analyses. Caffeine was found to increase athletic performance by 11 to 12%, whereas coffee may lower your risk of type 2 diabetes. A study of 317 coffee drinkers has shown a reduced risk of diabetes. Whereas there are studies that have shown that coffee can lower the risk of cirrhosis by 80%. Whereas coffee contains up to 1.8 grams of daily recommended fiber intake of 20 grams. Whereas coffee can cut post-workout muscle by up to 48%. Therefore, be it resolved by the Alaska Association of Student Governments that high school students of Ayaginach Litnavik will be able to drink coffee in the morning as a privilege for being at school on time, provided by student government or bring their own. Principal of Ayaginach Litnavik and Konginak ASB will be sent to.
The authors now have 2 minutes to present their platform.
As we know, there is no issue about drinking and eating, and on carpets we have attendance problem. For now, they are,
All right, we'll now move on to region reports, starting with Region 2.
Region 2 supports the intent of this resolution.
The failantaciously intepid Region 3 supports the intent with questions and noted opposition.
Region 4 unanimously supports this resolution.
We're still in order, guys.
Region 5 supports the intent of this resolution.
Region 6 does not support this resolution. Region 7 supports the intent but needs further clarification of this resolution.
The floor is now open for debate on resolution number 4. The board recognizes Kodiak with a point of privilege.
I'm Bethany Fish, passing the mic off to Ashley Rohr. I'm Ashley Rohr, and I was wondering if we could zoom in on the resolution a little bit, as it is a little bit hard to read in the back. Thank you.
The board recognizes Wasilla with a point of information.
Chase Hammer, passing the mic to Christina Hoy.
Hi, I'm Christina Hoy. I was wondering if the school will be providing the coffee or if the students will be bringing their own coffee and just being able to drink it in class.
The board directs your question to the author.
Both.
The board recognizes Lumen Christie.
I'm Joseph, pass the mic to Quaidbrinker.
Could you scroll down a bit? Not more. I called to make an amendment on the statement that it is as a privilege for being to school on time.
Which whereas statement?
In the therefore statement.
Oh. Is there a second? Seconded by North Pole. Could you please present your amendment to our Vice President?
Were you amending to strike it?
You can just come up here and tell Doug what to put on the screen. So to clarify, we are now in discussion of the amendment to the resolution as submitted by Lumen Christie.
The underline means they are amending, the discussion is on amending to strike the underlined and highlighted portion.
So the floor is now open for discussion on the amendment. If you're not discussing the amendment, can you guys like move to the sides? Okay, are any of you guys discussing the amendment? Lumen Christie? The board recognizes Lumen Christie.
The reason that I requested that this be striked is because school is something that all students are supposed to go to. It's the law. So getting a privilege for going to school is like getting an award for breathing.
The board recognizes...
We are still in order, please.
The board recognizes Sitka.
I'm Colton Cummins, passing the mic off to Owen Fulton.
Hello. I feel that this amendment is absolutely unnecessary and defeats the purpose of the resolution. The resolution, as stated, I believe, is to encourage students to come to school by providing coffee for them as a privilege for being on school or for being at school on time. Removing this just makes it removing this this addition or this part of the resolution. Removes the purpose of having coffee in the morning as an incentive to come to school. This will just, removing it will make it available to all students regardless of when they arrive or how they arrive. So I believe that it is unnecessary and quite frankly negates the purpose of the resolution.
The board recognizes service with a point of information.
Liam, passing the mic to Jocelyn.
I have a question for the author, basically elaborating. Could the author please elaborate on their intent, and would this counteract it because you guys are trying to encourage students to go to school due to the attendance rate? Is that the point?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The board recognizes Bethel with a point of information.
CJ McCormick, passing the mic off to Ethan Forbes.
I was wondering what's the school's current policy on caffeinated beverages?
The board directs your question to the author.
Can you please repeat that?
Good.
What is the school's current policy on caffeinated beverages?
Like we can't drink caffeinated things, no pops and all that. Or
Is there
coffee.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment to the resolution? All right, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of the amendment to the resolution? All those opposed to the amendment to the resolution? We're still in order. The amendment fails. We are now back to the discussion of the resolution. The board recognizes Matt Sioux Career Tech.
I'm Sam Carlton, and I'm passing the mic to Carly Ellington.
I'm Carly Ellington. All of these whereas statements are
I think they're based off of just plain black coffee. And if kids bring coffee to school, they're not going to be bringing black coffee to school. They're going to be bringing mochas and lattes and frappuccinos and things that actually do have sugar and cream and syrups and stuff in them that will higher the risk of most of these diseases that you guys have put in your whereas statements.
The board recognizes Ben Eielson with a point of information.
I am Jeffrey Kasberg, handing the mic off to Colby Friel. I was wondering if the authors had a citation for whereas statement 1.
The board directs your question to the author.
Yes, we do.
Could you repeat your question?
Do you have a citation for for the facts stated in whereas statement 1?
Yeah.
The board recognizes Unalaska with a point of information.
Ross Enlow, passing the mic off to Celeste Kukahiko.
I would just like to know why, in the first place, you guys have so many attendancy problems, and why you feel like coffee would be an incentive to go to school. Like, does it have to do with your parents maybe not getting you to school there, or is it like student-based where you just don't wake up early enough, or I just need further clarification?
We are still in order, please.
The board directs your question to the author.
Student base, so it could help students graduate and not dropping out. And there's like a lot of students dropping out because of that.
The board recognizes Sitka with a point of information.
I'm Owen Fulton, passing the mic off to Colton Cummins.
Hello. We were wondering if your
I'm
school.
sorry. Can you please limit sidebar conversation, everyone? We're trying to hear the debate.
We were
Thank
wondering
you.
if your school has sufficient funds to provide coffee to the students.
The board directs your question to the author.
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The board recognizes Lake and Peninsula with a point of information.
Hi, I'm William Lynn, passing the mic off to Nathan Ward.
I have a question directed at the author. Would this resolution only change the policy on bringing coffee into the school? Or would you also be allowed to bring in like soda or other caffeinated beverages?
Please be respectful of the authors and everybody speaking and be quiet. The board directs your question to the author.
Just coffee.
Thank you.
The board recognizes Ben Eielson with a point of information.
I'm Jeffrey Kasberg, handing the mic off to Stevens.
Hi, I'm Stephen from Eielson. I would like to ask the authors if the coffee would be free or if the students would be paying for it.
The board directs your question to the author.
I guess we could provide them, or they could bring their own.
The board recognizes Mount Edgecombe with a point of information. Oh, sorry. You guys have to be clear about that. The board recognizes Lumen Christie with a point of information.
So you guys are trying, this is directed at the author. I was wondering why they would want to allow people to get coffee before school to stop lateness. Wouldn't that increase lateness by taking more time out of their morning to go get coffee?
The board directs your question to the author.
Repeat that, please.
wouldn't they be more late by taking more time out of their morning to go get coffee?
It's timed. So it encourages people to get there early.
We're still in order. Please be respectful of the authors and everybody speaking and be quiet. The board recognizes service with a point of information.
I'm Tell, and I pass the mic to Liam.
Does the majority of the staff and students support this?
The board directs your question to the author.
Yes.
The board, if you have a sign, you get, yeah. The board recognizes North Pole with a point of order.
I'm Macy Key, passing the mic off to Judith Hepburn.
I'm Judith Hepburn, and I thought that one person's only allowed to speak on the resolution twice. And the guy in the gray shirt.
It doesn't apply to point of information.
Thank you.
This is true. You are only allowed to speak on an issue. Is it three?
Robert's Rules of Order says you're only allowed to speak on an issue twice. But yes, if you have a placard, then you can come up and speak more frequently.
Again, if you're using a placard, you get to cut in line. The board recognizes Lake and Penn with a point of information.
I am William, passing the mic off to Nathan Ward.
My question is directed at the author. Would the students of the school do fundraising to pay for the privilege of having coffee in the morning?
The board directs, sorry.
Or would it simply be provided by the school for free?
The board directs your question to the author.
Yeah? Both.
The board recognizes Thunder Mountain.
Rafael Sales, passing the mic to Gavin Martin.
Hi, I'm Gavin Martin. I do not believe that it is the school's place to provide coffee. And furthermore, I do not believe that coffee is 100% needed in schools. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you for those of you who are participating in the debate, but please limit sidebar conversation. There's a lot of noise coming from the audience. So if we could please pay attention and once again, be respectful of who's speaking. Thank you.
Again, if you have a placard, you go ahead in line. Yes. Oh, sorry, I thought I saw a point of information. The board recognizes Mount Edgecombe.
I'm Hannah Kimber, and I'm passing the microphone off to Thomas Irvin.
Hi, I'm Thomas Irvin, and I just wanted to say that more or less, if this did serve as an incentive for students to come to school on time, and I'm assuming that their school is a public school instead of a private, whereas their parents have to further their education through funds. So if they are a public school, then they'd need some sort of incentive to be at school on time, and this would further their education.
The board recognizes Matsu Career Tech with a point of information.
I'm Sam Carlton, introducing Aurora Littlewood.
If the school is going to provide the coffee, who will fund this and where will the funding come from?
The board directs your question to the author.
Student council?
The board recognizes West Valley.
I'm Kobe, and I'm passing the microphone to Jenna Johnson.
I would like to call the question.
Seconded by Bethel.
Yeah.
There is no discussion.
Can I just clarify part of the amendment? What is it? I'm going to just reiterate the call to questions. All right. So, once again, I would like to reiterate the point of calling the question is when you believe that debate has become redundant or that it is no longer necessary. Keep in mind that there were a lot of people left in lines that may have had some valuable things to say. But just keep in mind that we are here to discuss things, and so we don't want to necessarily close debate because you might be done with the topic. Keep that in mind.
Okay, so since there's no discussion on calling the question, we do need a 2/3 majority. Yes, it did get a second. It was seconded by Bethel. So again, we need a 2/3 majority to call a question. So with that, all in favor of calling the question on resolution number 4? All of those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placards. All those opposed to calling the question? We do not have a 2/3 majority, so debate will continue on resolution number 4. With that, the board recognizes Chugiak.
Tasha Boyer passing the mic to Aurora Taylor.
I think people are getting really caught up in the details of what type of coffee it is and how they're going to get the coffee. I think that they wrote this resolution in mind thinking they have a problem with attendance at their school, and this is an opportunity for them to fix that by giving an incentive, and I think that we should respect that and support this resolution.
The board recognizes Kodiak.
And Bethany Fish passing the mic off to Ashley Rohr. I'm Ashley Rohr, and I agree with what was just said. This resolution talks a lot about the health benefits of coffee. However, I don't believe that's the intent of the author. I believe the intention was to get kids to come to school and to be able to have that drink in school. So I think maybe I would suggest that the author consider rewriting this resolution, and instead of focusing on the health benefits of coffee, because there aren't really any, focus on more the students' right to make decisions about what they drink in school.
The board recognizes Service.
Liam passing the mic to Jocelyn.
Could you scroll down to the therefore statement, please? So I believe, I'm going to say Kong because I can't pronounce the school. I believe they don't have any coffee shops, so coffee would come from home. Therefore, they would be more based upon like normal coffee. And so wait, no, where are you going? Therefore statement. Okay, I'll wait. But also, because we don't know where it's coming from, I'd like to move the therefore statement basically to say that everyone will be allowed to provide their own coffee at school. I have to read through it though. So instead of will be able to drink coffee in the morning, that students at the school will be allowed to provide their own coffee and to drink it in the morning.
Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Bethel. Would Service please approach the board and let us know what the wording of your amendment is? So just to clarify, we are now in discussion of the amendment, so if you are not up to the mic to discuss the amendment, just so we can make it clear for debate purposes, could you please be seated? And you can sit just in the front row and wait. Thank you.
Can all see the text?
Good? Thumbs up? All right, just to clarify, we are still in order, so please be respectful of both the authors and all of the speakers, and be respectful of yourself, because if you guys talk, it goes slower. So anyway, we are now in discussion of the amendment to the resolution. Okay, so all debate should be on the amendment to the resolution. Okay, the board recognizes Bristol Bay.
Gabriella Hill, passing the mic off to Brittany Monk.
Hi, I'm Brittany Monk. I think the whole point of this resolution is for the school to provide coffee to the students as an incentive for going. And if we allow this amendment to pass, it's not going to change anything in their school because they're going to be providing their own coffee.
The board recognizes Mount Edgecombe.
My name's Thomas Irvin, and I'm passing the mic off to Doug McClanahan.
Hi, I'm Doug McClanahan, and in regards to this amendment, the bottom line is that this is a small school in a small community with an issue of attendance. And they are saying that our staff supports us in taking some funds and providing coffee for what I'm assuming is a school that's probably no less than 50 kids. I don't see the issue in supporting them and saying, if you have an issue and see this as a resolution to your issue, I don't see the big deal, because it's not going to disrupt the entire structure of Alaska if we allow Congiganak to provide some funds from their school to provide coffee for their students as an incentive.
We are still debating the amendment to the resolution. Is there any other debate on the amendment to the resolution? The board recognizes Bethel.
Ethan Forbes, pass the mic to CJ McCormick.
I move to call the question.
Is there a second? Seconded by Lumen Christie. All in favor of calling the question on the amendment? All those opposed to calling the question? The question has been called. We will now be voting on the amendment to the resolution. All in favor of the amendment to the resolution? All those opposed? The amendment to the resolution fails. We are now back to discussion of the resolution.
Please limit sidebar conversation.
You guys are quite chatty today. The board recognizes Bethel.
Ethan Forbes, pass the mic to CJ McCormick.
I move to call the question.
Is there a second? Seconded by Juneau-Douglas. We will now be voting on calling the question for the entire resolution. All those in favor of calling the question on the resolution? All those opposed? The question has been called. We will now move to a vote on the entire resolution. All those in favor of resolution number 4? All those opposed? Resolution number 4 passes. Would the authors of resolution number 4 like to ask for the resolution to be passed unanimously?
Yes.
Is there any opposition to passing the resolution unanimously? Resolution number 4 passes unanimously. The board recognizes Sitka.
Colton Cummins passing the mic on to Owen Fulton.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion that, because of our time constraints, we move all resolutions that pertain to statewide programs and affect the entire state to the front of the list, so that not because the other ones are unimportant. I love all the resolutions, but I would love to. I think that as AASG, as the state voice for the students, I think it would be beneficial for us to work on all of these statewide resolutions first.
Please limit sidebar conversation. And a second has not been asked for yet, and I'm not in charge. Emily will ask.
Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Unalaska. The floor is now open for discussion on the motion. The board recognizes Juneau-Douglas with a point of order.
Adrian Sipek passing the mic to Tori Talley.
That is not constitutional. There was a resolution against moving resolutions forward and back, so it's not constitutional.
Please be quiet. The board directs your comment to the parliamentarian.
This is the same issue that we ran across yesterday, and it was deemed constitutional and within our bylaws. The only thing that is not allowed by our bylaws is you cannot table things to the next conference. You have to resubmit them to the vice president. So the motion makers were completely within their rights.
The board recognizes Chugiak with a point of privilege.
We think this is the right placard, but this is Brubangu passing the mic off to Emily Wood.
Hi, I'm Emily Wood. I'm wondering what an appropriate time for nominations would be.
That's a good one. We will do it. We'll probably recess a little bit early, so we can have time for nominations, and also we have. Oh, sorry. We're going to do it in order, but probably after we pass and, well, we'll see how time goes. But it'll get done before the end of the General Assembly. But
Solid, thanks.
Thank you. So just to clarify, she just asked a question, but it actually, we're making it a little easier for parliamentarians. So Ariel will speak to the issue.
All right, so last year when we ran into the issue of only having one candidate for a position, we just accepted applications until the end of the conference, and we didn't go through the nomination process on the floor. So for all people who are going for parliamentarians, except for the one that's already been nominated, don't worry about being nominated on the floor. Just get your application in by noon to Miles over there.
All right, so a reminder that we are still in discussion of the motion made by Sitka. So the board recognizes Kodiak.
Bethany Fish passing the mic off to Ashley Rohr. I'm Ashley Rohr, and as important as state issues are, I feel like part of AASG's responsibility is to pass resolutions to make change in our schools, hence the RSVP process. So I feel like moving all the state issue resolutions forward is not a wise decision.
The board recognizes Craig.
I move to call the question.
Seconded by North Pole. So the question has been called on the motion made by Sitka. So we will now vote on calling the question. So we need a 2/3 majority. So all in favor of calling the question on the motion? Any opposition? Okay, so the question has been called on the motion to have resolutions pertinent to statewide issues move forward in the resolution order. So with that, all in favor of moving forward statewide resolutions, please raise your placards. All those opposed? It passes. Oh, yeah, we need to. We have to call for a division of the House. So don't move, don't talk, hold on. If you are in favor of moving all statewide resolutions forward on the resolution docket, please move to this side. If you are opposed to moving, don't move yet. If you are opposed to moving statewide resolutions forward and leaving the resolution order as it is now, please move to this side of the auditorium. Thank you. Hey, Doug.
Why?
Can you call a point of privilege? Not right after this, call a point of privilege. Because that's disgusting. We need to do sassy about it. I'm pretty sure if that's we need a majority.
We have one more.
All right, so the motion passes. Please return to your seats quietly and effectively so we can get going. Okay, Doug. Doug, there. Okay. Okay, yeah, and just pick which one is. All right, so since the... Shh, please be quiet. Since the motion has been passed to move resolutions that are pertinent to statewide issues forward, it is going to be at the discretion of our vice president to determine which ones are pertinent to statewide issues. So that pretty much means we're going to scroll through and figure out which ones are pertinent to statewide issues. Yeah, because it's the whole tab policy too. Okay. All right, so the first statewide issue resolution is resolution number 5. So with that, I entertain a motion to bring resolution number 5 to the floor. So moved by Lake and Penn, seconded by Akula. Is there any discussion on bringing resolution number 5 to the floor? Any discussion? We'll now move to a vote. All in favor of bringing resolution number 5 to the floor? And any opposition? Resolution number 5 has been brought to the floor. Will the authors of resolution number 5 please approach the board? Tori Talley, would you please approach the board? Tori Talley. Somebody from Juneau, please come talk to me for a second.
Hey,
you just told me that we should be out by 10, but that's not true.
Judy.
Shh, please, we are still in order. The board recognizes Lathrop with a point of privilege.
Hi, Abby Walker from Lathrop, and I'm passing the mic off to Sam King.
This is the second time someone has spilt coffee in the front row, and it's disrupting a lot of people because it's moving down, and we would like someone to get us some napkins. Thank you.
To remind you guys, there is no food or drink allowed in the auditorium, so that was a pretty bad move to bring in coffee in the first place. So if you have spilled your coffee, please take responsibility and not disrupt our General Assembly. All right, so we are going to keep going until 11 on our General Assembly agenda. However, we do have some delegates that need to catch flights. So at 10:20, we will have a very brief recess so they can go get their stuff and not disrupt the GA, and also we'll use it as like a bathroom break. Yes. Okay. All right, so with that, we are still, wait, resolution 4 is back off the floor. Resolution 5, they need to read it, right? Okay, well, the board recognizes Unalaska.
Okay, we're submitting our resolution as read. So, amending the TAD policy to include electronic cigarettes to the list of controlled substances. Be it resolved by the General Assembly of the Alaska Association of Student Governments, whereas AASG's current TAD policy does not prohibit the use of products that solely produce nicotine, i.e. electronic cigarettes, nicotine patches, etc. Whereas the laws that restrict tobacco companies from selling and marketing tobacco products to minors and the laws that require them to correctly state ingredients and nicotine dosage do not apply to electronic cigarettes or other nicotine products. Whereas it is feared that electronic cigarettes advertised as being healthier than alternatives to traditional cigarettes are actually prompting people to take up smoking. Whereas nicotine is addictive and can be a poisonous substance, causing side effects including mouth ulcers, jaw muscle aches, dizziness, headaches, nausea, seizures, heart rhythm disturbances, and difficulty breathing. Whereas electronic cigarettes contain a number of toxic chemicals and ultrafine particles in addition to nicotine, and secondhand vapor could be harmful. Whereas the FDA's results from preliminary tests have concluded that e-cigs appear to contain carcinogens, whereas electronic cigarettes are not yet FDA regulated. Therefore, the long-term effects of the use of electronic cigarettes are not yet known. Whereas scientists at the University of Athens conducted a test to find out the impacts of electronic cigarette use, in which they found that using an electronic cigarette can cause an instant increase in airway resistance that lasted for 10 minutes in the majority of the participants. Whereas during 2011 and 2012, among all students grades 6th through 12th, e-cigarette use has increased from 3.3% to 6.8% among those e-cigarette users. 76.3% report conventional cigarette use. Whereas the current use of both cigarettes and conventional cigarettes increased in 6th through 12th graders from 0.8% to 1.6%. Whereas the marketing of e-cigs is re-glamorizing smoking and associating young, attractive celebrities with smoking. Their participation in the last 12 to 24 months has used the exact same images and tactics that made traditional cigarettes so appealing to generations of Americans. Whereas Alaska's Attorney General sent a letter to the FDA urging the agency to meet its own deadline to regulate electronic cigarettes in the same way it regulates tobacco products. Therefore, be it resolved by the Alaska Association of Student Governments that the Alaska Student Activities Association's tobacco, alcohol, and drug policy be amended to include electronic cigarettes in their list of controlled substances. Action statement. This resolution, if passed by the General Assembly of the Alaska Association of Student Governments, is to be presented to the following. Miles King. Is that it? Yeah. The AASG rep.
So just to clarify, the resolution was submitted as read. So it's what they said, not necessarily what was in the resolution packet. And that's completely constitutional. So there are a few slight changes, like you guys added a resolution or an action statement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. We'll now move on to regional reports.
Oh, wait, our platform.
Oh, I'm very sorry. You guys have a 2-minute platform.
So the current TAD policy does not include electronic cigarettes as a tobacco product or nicotine as a controlled substance in their CDC list. And this resolution, if passed, will be presented to the AASG board, and we will ask them to amend their policy to include electronic cigarettes as either a prohibited substance or drug or tobacco product, wherever they feel it's necessary to be placed. And whereas statements 9 and 10 show their increasing popularity in high school students, and some experts fear that an increase in electronic cigarettes can lead to a tobacco problem. And by amending the TAD policy, we're taking the first steps to preventing cigarettes or electronic cigarettes from being a big problem in the schools of Alaska. And many of you may not know, but electronic cigarettes are not regulated by the FDA, so that means they have no laws on them. Like, students can purchase them online, they can have commercials, they can falsely advertise things, and they don't have to say how much nicotine or how much carcinogens are in their products. So it is not regulated, and therefore not a lot is known. It's very dangerous. And this pertains only to the TAD policy, and we want to change it for all schools, not just our schools, or not just in Alaska. And we apologize for what you read in your resolution packet. It might have been confusing. So feel free to ask lots of questions.
We will now move on to regional reports.
Region 2 is undecided on this resolution.
The NTAFISH Region 3 supports this resolution.
Region 4 supports the intent of this resolution but needs some clarification.
Region 5 does not support this resolution.
Region 6 supports this resolution with noted opposition.
The Orange-Alicious Region 7 unanimously supports this resolution.
The floor is now open for debate on resolution number 5. The board recognizes Sitka.
Debbie Yearwood, passing the mic to Owen Fulton.
Hello. In our region meeting, I did not feel as strongly an affirmation for this resolution as I did after I attended the workshop, which was directly linked to this resolution. And now I feel that it is absolutely necessary to pass for a couple of key reasons. This resolution completely outlaws all nicotine products, I believe. And this is something that many states have done. I believe the number was 29, correct me if I'm wrong. 29 states have already passed laws regarding to this. It's something that's been very popular in the U.S. and something that Alaska needs to address, as we do have a huge tobacco problem. And I'd like to expand a little bit upon what they said about the e-cigs and a lot of other tobacco products, which are now readily available to many people in not only the schools but all across Alaska. It's these new products that they're releasing. They're not. They are advertised as a way to quit smoking or to quit tobacco use, but their only use of these is to glorify cigarettes and glorify tobacco use. And we don't know if there are any health benefits to e-cigs yet. They are, as of yet, they are or the testing has been proven or hasn't been done as of yet. And I think that this resolution is will be quite effective in limiting tobacco use, in limiting e-cigs, and limiting all forms of nicotine. And it's something that we as a state, as AASG, need to pass. Thank you.
Just in case anybody isn't aware, now I just put up the as read copy of the resolution, so your information is now current.
The board recognizes Mount Edgecombe with a point of information.
Macy Kenworthy, passing the mic off to Thomas Irvin.
I'm Thomas Irvin, and I would like a question directed at the author.
Good.
What would you propose a safer alternative to nicotine be?
The board directs your question to the author.
There isn't really a safer alternative to nicotine. There are cessation products for tobacco use, like Nicorette gum, but electronic cigarettes have not yet been proven as a cessation product, and also tobacco companies do not market them as a cessation product, even though there have been, like, the general public thinks it is better, because if they did market electronic cigarettes as a quitting product, which is cessation, then it would have to be FDA regulated, and it is not. So to answer your question, there is no safer alternative.
Thank you.
The board recognizes Lumen Christie.
So I think everybody doesn't understand that electronic cigarettes and nicotine patches are supposed to be a solution for smoking, not to endorse it. And I know many people will say, oh, but it's being misused, and that's not like what people are actually using it for. But the same can be said for other drugs such as Adderall and painkillers. Their intent is to help, but some people misuse it, so we can't really take away something that's supposed to be a solution rather than a problem.
The board recognizes Ben Eielson.
I'm Jeffrey Kazmarek, handing the mic over to Sarah Schreiber.
Hello. I just wanted to point out that in the first whereas statement, it talks of electronic cigarettes and nicotine patches, and where I do think that electronic cigarettes are definitely abused. That's just my personal opinion, and I think that if you get caught with an electronic cigarette, I think that it's a bit worse than being caught with a nicotine patch, because nicotine patches are solely for the use of quitting. So I move to amend whereas statement number 1 to strike nicotine patches from the parentheses so that you do not get confused when first reading the resolution that you think that they're trying to outlaw nicotine patches as well, because they are never mentioned again in the resolution.
Seconded by West Valley. To clarify, we are now in the discussion of the amendment to the resolution, so just to keep it clear, you guys can sit in the front row if you're waiting, but please sit down or get out of the aisles if you are not discussing the amendment to the resolution. Is there any discussion on the amendment to the resolution? Since there's no discussion, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? The amendment passes. We are now back to the discussion of the resolution as amended. The board recognizes Haynes.
Zeke Frank from Haynes, passing the mic off to Chris Turner.
Hi, I'm Chris Turner, and I do believe that nicotine is a harmful substance, but I do not believe that it is nearly as bad as cigarettes themselves. And I do not think that we should be taking away any of the tools that allow smokers to quit smoking. And e-cigarettes themselves start out with a high nicotine level, and you can reduce the nicotine that you intake over time through the cigarettes. And that helps a lot of people quit smoking, because for a lot of people it's mental routine of, yes, I have to go take 5 minutes to go smoke, take a break. And so over time it can reduce not only tobacco use but nicotine use as well. And I believe that if we're taking away any of these tools from people to quit smoking, it is not a good thing.
We are still in order. Please be respectful of all of the speakers and the authors of the resolution. The board recognizes Bethel.
CJ McCormick, passing the mic off to Ethan Forbes.
I do not believe our electronic cigarettes have in no way been proven to be safer than cigarettes, and I don't think anyone that has an electronic cigarette is going to say, oh, I'm extremely addicted to nicotine, I'm just going to turn down the nicotine content of my electronic cigarette.
The board recognizes Craig.
Kean Bird, passing the mic on to Kelsey Trojan.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Trojan. According to this, it says that the FDA does not have that much information. So can you assume that they're bad, or as bad as we think they are, comparing them to cigarettes? Just a question.
The board recognizes Service.
Liam, passing the mic to Jocelyn.
So personally, I've seen a lot of vaporizers, whether they're specifically nicotine vaporizers or other ones, because personally I don't know the difference. The point is that vaporizers are used a lot, and nowhere have I seen people been using them for the correct purposes. And I'm not specifying just to my school. I've been to a lot of schools and have seen them, and it's definitely a problem. Plus, there are alternatives that are proven healthy and are not that are approved by the FDA. So because this isn't approved, and it also is like used a lot, especially in the big schools, I'm not sure about smaller schools, it's used a lot in the wrong ways. I support this resolution completely.
The board recognizes Cordova.
Hi, I'm Enrique Zamudio, and I'm passing off the mic to Steven Schwartzbart.
If schools, I had a question for the author.
Go ahead.
If schools already drug.
Sorry, you need a
Oh.
point of information to ask a question, but you can go grab it.
All right. Well, then
You
I'm
can
not.
grab it and you'll get priority. So you have to have a point of information. Sorry.
Okay.
The board recognizes Ben Eielson.
I'm Jeffrey Kazmarek, handing the mic off to Colby Friel.
I think there are two main issues that we need to consider. One, a lot of the con arguments have been saying that e-cigs are a method to stop smoking. E-cigs are not a cessation product. The FDA has not approved them as a cessation product, and they are not marketed as a cessation product. So we need to consider that. The second thing we need to consider is tobacco is a huge problem in Alaska. It is the #1 killer in Alaska. It kills more people than suicide, accidents, and drinking combined. It is a huge issue in Alaska. And we had a man who, in tears, told us his life story and gave us a warning and tried to give us a chance to prevent this from happening to our lives. And we need to heed that warning and take this issue seriously. Please pass this resolution.
The board recognizes Cordova with a point of information.
If schools are already drug-free zones, I was just wondering if this e-cigarette is considered a drug, as in schools being drug-free zones.
The board directs your question to the author.
So any school can make their own policy on electronic cigarettes, but if they do not specify that electronic cigarettes is a drug on like certain lists, like the TAD policy, in their list, electronic cigarettes or nicotine is not a prohibited substance. So even if your school is a drug-free zone, unless it explicitly says electronic cigarettes are not counted, I guess, as a drug.
All right, thank you.
The board recognizes North Pole.
I'm Macy Key, passing the mic on to Sydney Cole.
All right. Hi, I'm Sydney Collier, and I would just like to point out that the speaker that we had yesterday, the COPD and the emphysema that he had in his lungs is actually caused by the smoke of the cigarettes, and not from vapor. I just was like kind of just pointing that out.
The board recognizes Juneau-Douglas with a point of privilege.
Ruby Steedle, passing the mic off to Johnny Elliott.
So we're a little confused. Could you please scroll down so that we could see the action statement so we know?
This is not in our packet. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
The board recognizes Cordova with a point of information.
I'm Steven Schwartzbart from Cordova, passing the mic off to Enrique Zamudio.
I have a question directed towards the author.
Go ahead.
So if the school specifies nicotine in general, then wouldn't that exclude or not exclude electronic cigarettes?
The board
Wait.
directs your question to the author.
Can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
If the school specifies, the school policy, not TAD, specifies that nicotine in general is not allowed in the school zone, then would that exclude or include electronic cigarettes as a whole?
Yes, because electronic cigarettes produce nicotine, or like they give out nicotine. So if your school explicitly says nicotine, then I would assume it is, but I am not part of your school, so I wouldn't know.
All right.
The board recognizes Unalaska.
My name's Tommy Wynn, passing the mic off to Christian Escalante.
Okay, hi, up here. So to address some of the con points, we are not taking away electronic cigarettes from the state of Alaska, or if some people choose to use it to try to reduce their use of cigarettes, then we support that. But what we are trying to do is to get it into the TAD policy that students in AASG-related sports and activities are not allowed to use electronic cigarettes because, as some people said in the pro section, that they are misusing electronic cigarettes, and nicotine content is not regulated in electronic cigarettes, so it cannot be proven that electronic cigarettes is a cessation device, and we are not assuming that because it's not FDA regulated that it is bad. We are saying it's not regulated, therefore the information given out by the companies cannot be trusted.
The board recognizes Palmer.
I'm Sam Ryapel, handing the mic off to Carly Williams.
Since this is to amend the TAD policy, which is ASA, which is part of ASA, and that it only affects students at schools and school activities, I would like to make the amendment to change Miles King's phone number to his correct phone number so that people can call him to get the resolution there.
Is there a second? Seconded by North Pole. Okay, to clarify, we are now going to be discussing the amendment to the resolution, so getting Miles's phone number.
I know it's funny, but we are still in order.
So please, for the sake of debate, if you are not discussing the amendment, please have a seat and get out of the aisle. Thank you. Okay, we are now in discussion of the amendment to the resolution. Since there's no discussion, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of the amendment? Any opposition? Amendment passes. We are now back to the discussion of the resolution. As amended. The board recognizes Chugiak.
Emily Wood, passing the microphone to Aurora Taylor.
A lot of people are saying that these smoking alternatives are healthier than actual smoking, and I agree. I don't think there's any debate. But the fact is that this is in school, and I don't think it's appropriate to endorse smoking or pretend smoking. The bottom line is it's just not appropriate. Some things are not allowed in school, and this is one of them. And so I encourage you to support this resolution.
The board recognizes Palmer with a point of information.
I'm Carly Williams, passing the mic off to Sam Rypo.
I have a question for the entire General Assembly pertaining electric cigarettes. I would like to ask how many people actually know how electronic cigarettes work and can 100% clearly say that they have a definitive working definition of an electronic cigarette.
Okay, so kind of a poll. If you can answer to Sam's question with a show of hands, please. Thank you.
I believe the statement
You have
says
to-
its own statement. Sorry. I believe the statement speaks for itself. Sorry.
The board recognizes Lumen Christie.
I'm Joseph, passing the mic to Quade Brooker.
So I think people don't I think people don't realize that electronic cigarettes actually do help people. Just in my school alone, 1/4 of our senior class was using electronic cigarettes to help them stop smoking, which isn't that much considering we only have 8 kids in our senior class, but still. So it actually does help people. At first they were like almost pack-a-day smokers, but some people started using electronic cigarettes, and eventually they've now completely stopped using cigarettes altogether.
Please limit sidebar conversation, which means only emergency whispers.
The board recognizes Bethel.
CJ McCormick, passing the mic off to Ethan Forbes.
I would just like to point out in the therefore statement, it specifically says electronic cigarettes. It does not ban all nicotine products, just electronic cigarettes.
The board recognizes North Pole.
I'm Macy Key, passing the mic on to Davida Jervankar.
My name is Davida Jervankar, and I would like to call the question.
Is there a second to calling the question? Seconded by West Valley. There's no discussion in calling the question. A reminder that we do need a 2/3 majority. So all in favor of calling the question on the resolution? All opposed? The question will not be called. We will not continue debate on the resolution. The board recognizes Kodiak. The board recognizes Kodiak.
I'm Hannah Fish, passing the mic off to Nell Suri.
Okay, so yesterday we had a very powerful speaker on tobacco who has warned us of the addiction of tobacco products. He didn't tell us to tune down tobacco, he asked us to stop completely. He may have been affected by smoke, but nicotine causes cancer, death, and uncontrollable addiction regardless of type. Choose life.
The board recognizes service with a point of privilege.
I'm Tell, and I pass the mic to Liam.
Can you go to the whereas statements and make it so you can see most of them at least? Thank you.
The board recognizes Hutchison.
Catherine Woody, passing the mic off to Brian Forrest.
If I am allowed to read approximately 2 paragraphs from the Center for Disease Control in Georgia.
Yeah, go ahead.
This was submitted September 6, 2013. Electronic cigarettes, or e-cigarettes, are battery-powered devices that provide a dose of nicotine and other additives to the user in an aerosol. Depending on the brand, e-cigarettes cartridges typically contain nicotine, a component to produce aerosol. And flavorings. Potentially harmful constitutes use also have been documented in some e-cigarettes cartridges, including irritants, genotoxins, and animal carcinogens. E-cigarettes that are not marked for therapeutic purposes are currently unregulated by the Food and Drug Administration of the United States of America, and in most states there are no restrictions on the sale of e-cigarettes to minors. The use of e-cigarettes has been increased among the U.S. adult and high school ages 12 to 18 population. And adult, current, and former smokers in recent years, specifically 2 years, however, the extent of among youth is uncertain. Data from the 2011 and 2012 National Youth Tobacco Survey, NYTS, a school-based pencil and paper questionnaire was given to the U.S. middle school 6 to 8 grades and high school 9 to 12 grade students, were used to estimate the prevalence of an ever and current use of e-cigarettes, ever and current use of conventional cigarettes, and use of both NYTS constants of a cross-sectional nationally representative sample of the students in grades 6 through 12 from all 50 states of the District of Columbia and United States.
The board recognizes Sitka.
Colton Cummins, passing the mic over to Owen Fulton.
I know that this has been stated many times in debate today, but I think it's important that we expand upon the idea of the cessation element of e-cigs. It's important to note that, or it's important to reiterate that the FDA has not recognized e-cigs as a cessation device. The cigarette companies and tobacco companies have not filed for e-cigs to be a cessation device. This shows that they're not selling this as a cessation project or a product, rather as a new way to get tobacco out on the market. As with all the regulations that we're putting on normal cigarettes, they need to find a new way to make revenue. And all e-cigs are doing is supporting the tobacco companies. This resolution will further corner the tobacco companies or further reduce the amount of tobacco the influence has on our students and influence on our schools. And I think that the intent of this resolution is very good. Thank you.
The board recognizes Ben Eielson.
I'm Jeffrey Kazmarek, handing off the mic to Stephen Searles.
Hi, I'm Stephen Searles. I'd like to amend the therefore statement to replace the words electronic cigarettes with all nicotine substances.
Is there a second? Could you please repeat your motion?
I'd like to amend the therefore statement to change the words electronic cigarettes to all nicotine substances.
Is there a second? There is not a second, so the amendment fails. Sorry, motion fails. The board recognizes North Pole.
I'm Macy Key, passing the mic on to Sydney Collier.
Hi, I would like to call a question.
Seconded by Bethel. We will now be voting on calling the question on the resolution. All in favor of calling the question on the resolution? And all those opposed? The question has been called. We will now be voting on resolution number 5. All right. All schools in favor of resolution number 5, please raise your placards. All those opposed?
Also, just another Parley moment. I would like to commend the people who just called the question. That was a very appropriate time to call the question, seeing as debate was beginning to turn down. I'm glad that we are understanding when to appropriately use call the question.
Would the authors like to ask for unanimous, pass the resolution unanimously? Yes. Is there any opposition to passing the resolution unanimously? The resolution passes unanimously. Wait, what time is it now?
It's 10:06.
Okay. So just to keep you guys informed, it's 10:06 right now, and we're going to recess at 10:20 for people who need to catch flights. Okay. With that, I entertain. Oh, actually, we need to figure out which one we're doing next. All right, so with that, I entertain a motion to bring resolution number 6 to the floor. So moved by Chugiak, seconded by Craig.
We are still in order. Please limit sidebar conversation and conversation.
Yeah, go ahead.
So just for clarification, with our motion that we should move to statewide issues, resolution number 6 is a statewide issue because Mount Edgecombe is a public state boarding school, and the State Board of Education actually serves as their school board. So it is a statewide issue.
Great. Is there any discussion on bringing resolution number 6 to the floor? All right, seeing as there's no discussion, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of bringing resolution number 6 to the floor, please raise your placards. Same sign for opposition. Resolution number 6 has been brought to the floor. Will the authors of resolution number 6 please approach the board?
Because they're going on a flight and they're late. Please limit sidebar conversation so that we can get through more resolutions. Thank you.
The board recognizes Mount Edgecombe. You can come stand behind here. It might be a little easier to read.
The Alaska Association of Student Governments Resolution Number 6, Academic Wing Expansion, submitted by Mount Edgecombe High School, written by Bobby McNeely. Be it resolved by the Alaska Association of Student Governments, whereas Mount Edgecombe High School is a public boarding school in Sitka, Alaska that resides 400 students grades 9 through 12. Whereas Mount Edgecombe High School has a significant role in preparing many leaders from around the state. Whereas currently at the school, there are multiple upper campus classrooms in Cusbuck Hall and an extended dining hall. Whereas bringing the classrooms closer together will allow adequate passing times for students. Whereas currently it takes more time than given to go to and from the main building from the upper campus classrooms and the reverse. Whereas supervision and safety of students will be improved if all classrooms were closer together on campus. Whereas injured students will not have to walk extensive lengths to or ask for a ride to attend upper campus classes. Whereas the new academic wing will add 8 classrooms to the main school building that will be able to accompany all classrooms on upper campus. Whereas the new wing will, Whereas the study was completed in 2011 to build a new academic wing. Whereas the total estimated cost is $16,292,000 for the academic wing and expanded dormitory. Whereas the vacated classrooms will provide for construction for more dormitory space. Whereas the current dorm rooms exceed the Alaska Administrative Code 7 AAC 50.530 space by having 6 students per room. Therefore, be it resolved by the Alaska Association of Student Governments that a new academic wing will be built on the Mount Edgecombe High School campus. Action statement. If resolved by the General Assembly of the Alaska Association of Student Governments, the resolution is to be presented to the Superintendent Randy Hawk, Principal Bernie Goulet, Senator Stedman, and the State Board of Education and Early Development, and Governor Sean Parnell.
The author now has 2 minutes to state their platform.
So as many may know, Mount Edgecombe High School is a boarding school, and it was founded in the early 1900s. Yeah, 1940s to be exact. Well, at the time, the academic building was created to accommodate for 200 students, and since then our student population has doubled to 400 because the governor at the time decided that he wanted the opportunity that Edgecombe provides to be more more achievable and readily available for students. But unfortunately, our school hasn't grown with the population, and we don't have adequate enough space for the amount of students that attend. So Cusbuck Hall, which is on upper campus, was an unused building and it was converted into a classroom space. But unfortunately, it takes a long time to get to and from the main building to Cusbuck Hall, which goes into class time and accumulates over the semester. And And to clarify, we're not asking for AASG to pay for it. We're asking for AASG's support to bring it to the legislator so they can go to the capital bonds.
That is 2 minutes.
We'll now move on to regional reports.
Region 2 supports the intent of this resolution, but needs further clarification.
The Integral Region 3 unanimously supports this resolution.
Region 4 supports this resolution.
Region 5 supports this resolution with noted opposition.
Region 6 unanimously supports this resolution.
Region 7 supports the intent but needs further clarification of this resolution.
The floor is now open for debate on the resolution.
Please limit sidebar conversation. All right. Okay, limit sidebar conversation means stop talking when we're trying to go through transition, unless it's urgent. Thank you.
Does point of privilege trump what's the order for point of privilege, then point of info? Okay, so according to Parley Pro, so if you're holding a placard, just to make it a little easier on me so I don't mix up the schools, if you are holding a point of privilege, can you hold it with your school sign so I know who's doing which? Okay, perfect. So according to Parley Pro, point of privilege trumps point of info in debate order, so that means the board recognizes Ben Eielson with a point of privilege.
I'm Jeffrey Kazmarek, handing the mic off to Sarah Schreiber.
Hello, it's grammatically bothering me. Can you scroll up a little bit? In the middle of, I think it's whereas statements 4 and 5, there are unnecessary commas in the middle of a statement, and can we get rid of those? In whereas statement 4, like will allow comma adequate passing, and then whereas statement 5, given to go from comma the main school building, they're incorrect.
The board recognizes Lake and Penn with a point of information.
Hi, I'm William Lynn, passing the mic off to Nathan Ward.
I have a question directed at the author.
Go ahead.
Would it be possible to create more dormitory space without the expanded academic wing?
The board directs your question to the authors.
There's no way to create more dormitory space because currently we have 4 dorms. They're main boys dorm, girls main dorm, HH, and Ivy Hall, and that takes up all of upper campus right now. And if we had a new academic wing on lower campus, Cusbic Hall could be converted into a new dorm.
The board recognizes Hutchison with a point of information.
Christina Kiesler, passing the mic off to Catherine Woody.
I have a question for the author. Where would the funding for this be coming from?
The board directs your question to the author.
The funding, if approved, would go to the state of Alaska, and we'd get the funding from a capital fund, which is used to get buildings and roads and stuff like that.
The board recognizes Petersburg with a point of information.
I'm Sydney Guthrie, passing the mic to Carly.
Hi, I'm Carly, and I have a question for the authors.
Go ahead.
Why, in your whereas statement 13, why has Mount Edgecombe been allowed to exceed the Alaska Administrative Code with how many students are allowed to stay in dormitories?
We have a waiver from the state of Alaska.
Okay.
Okay, we will continue debate after recess. So with that, I entertain a motion to wait. Okay.
Or do you want to do that in order or out of order? What? Do you want to do it? Can I?
Okay, please be quiet. Go ahead.
Sorry. So I did want to thank everyone at this conference for participating in the heart activity. Not that it's too late if you haven't filled out hearts. I think it was hopefully you've learned something or you were sought to search in yourselves and find something of value. I'd like to specifically thank Carly Senna for doing a lot of the heart hanging, and then Matsu Career and Technical High School for cutting the hearts and some coordination. So thank you for that, and I hope you continue to value yourself and others.
We'll now move on to Elena. We're still in order. But since we're executive board, we can do this.
No, let's recess and then discuss.
Okay, so I know. So we are gonna have Elena award a spirit award, and then we're gonna recess. So we are not gonna debate anymore. So you guys can sit down. I mean, we'll debate when we come back, but go ahead.
Okay, so since Region 4 is going to be leaving in a couple minutes here, I'm going to award the delegate from my region, the Regional Delegate Award for Region 4. And I chose Tasha Boyer because Tasha received this award because she avidly paid attention during Region 4 meetings and General Assembly. Not only did she speak during the GA on every resolution, but she submitted and had passed her own resolution. Tasha is an outstanding member of Region 4, and her positive attitude is appreciated by all the delegates in our region.
The rest of the regional delegate of the conference will be awarded at the end of our next General Assembly. Okay, actually, do you want to just do them all now? No. Okay, just kidding. Okay, so with that, I entertain a motion to recess. So moved by Chugiak, seconded by Juneau-Douglas. We are not at recess. Please sit down. I know you guys have to leave. Is there any discussion on recessing? Okay, and we're gonna recess for just really quickly for the other people to leave. So the faster, of course, all of the delegates can get up and use the bathroom or whatever, but please remember that the amount of time we spend in recess is kind of up to you guys right now. So this is our last General Assembly to do resolutions, so please come back as soon as possible so we can get started. With that, all in favor of recessing? Any opposition? Okay, we are at recess.
Okay, we didn't play keyboard meeting.
All right, I call this meeting back to order at 10:34 a.m. All right, so again, we will be discussing resolution number 6. So with that, the board recognizes Sitka.
Colton Cummins handing the mic over to Owen Fulton.
Okay. In our regional meeting, we discussed this topic heavily, and I think that we came to a very good decision on supporting this with a little bit of noted opposition. But I'd like to kind of talk a little bit about what we came to in our meeting and what points were important. Of course, the funding is a big issue. I mean, $16 million is a lot of money, but it's important to note that this funding will be coming from the state and will not negatively affect the citizens of Alaska. A project which was recently done in Mount Edgecombe, similar to this, was the pool project, which is building a swimming pool for the Mount Edgecombe High School. This has been made possible through similar funding, was voted on by the state legislature and was passed. And I don't think any of us felt any negative effects from this, nor did the state. And this funding comes from bonds, which the state will decide upon, and the funding is not going to be an issue and not something that we as AASG need to be worried about. Another thing is that this allowing this resolution to pass will make Mount Edgecombe a federally legal school. As of now, they are breaking federal law, and if we do not allow this resolution to pass, we would be basically saying that we do not want Mount Edgecombe to be a legal high school. I don't think that's in our best interest and not in the best interest of Mount Edgecombe High School. If our job at AASG is to ensure not only the legality of all students, but also the interests and well-being of students. I think it's in our interest and in AASG's interest to support the resolution and allow them to have sufficient space for their students, allow them to have a reasonable passing time, and allow them to have the space they need for the school of their size. So Sitka presents its full support for this resolution. Thank you.
The board recognizes Bethel.
I'm Kane Gillen, passing the mic on to CJ McCormick.
Due to the time constraints of this situation, I move to call the question.
Is there a second? Seconded by Juneau-Douglas. We will now be voting on calling the question on resolution number 6. Resolution number 6. All those in favor of calling the question on resolution number 6? Calling the question on resolution number 6. All those opposed? We needed a division of the House. All those, hold on, don't move, don't talk. All those in favor of calling the question. We are voting on calling the question, not on the resolution. Please move to this side. If you are not in favor of calling the question, please move to this side of the auditorium. In favor, not in favor. Please quickly and effectively. This does not require a lot of discussion.
Hey, this is like 2/3. Yeah, that's definitely 2/3. Oh yeah, another question.
The question has been called. Please return back to your seats.
Fastest call the question ever. Well, now we're not counting. We're just like. Are we going to have?
The question has been called on resolution number 6. Yes.
Can we go to 11:30 and like get me to have a lunch? College Juneau-Douglas now and just get that.
Can somebody, Tori, can you come chat with us really quickly? Just over here. Just really quickly.
Don't. Hey, Tori.
Okay, so now the question on resolution number 6 has been called, so that means we'll move to a vote on the entirety of resolution number 6. All those in favor of resolution number 6, please raise your placards. All those opposed, same sign. Resolution number 6 passes. Would the authors of resolution number 6 like to ask for the resolution to be passed unanimously? Yes? Is there any opposition to passing resolution number 6 unanimously? Oh. Okay. Resolution number 6 still passes. All right, I entertain a motion for us to extend our General Assembly until 11:30. This means that we would have less time for lunch. We'd have 30 minutes less time for lunch, but we'd have 30 more minutes of GA time. So, all right. so moved by Kodiak, seconded by Wasilla. Is there any discussion on extending our General Assembly for an extra 30 minutes? And just so you know, it is okay with Juneau-Douglas, we can do this. All right, all in favor of extending our General Assembly an extra 30 minutes? All those opposed? Our General Assembly has been extended. We will now move on to resolution number 7.
Hey everyone, we're still in order. And I would like to remind you that when the General Assembly is talking among each other and itself, we are disrespecting the authors, and we are disrespecting those trying to speak, and we are disrespecting the delegates in this assembly. When we are speaking and overriding our debate that's going on and devaluing it, we are disrespecting the organization itself. So please limit sidebar conversation.
So we have just determined what resolution will be next. So because it pertains to our entire state organization, so because it's an AASG resolution, I entertain a motion to bring resolution number 11 to the floor. So moved by West Valley, seconded by Mount Edgecombe. Is there any discussion on bringing resolution number 11 to the floor? Seeing as there's no discussion, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of bringing resolution number 11 to the floor? Resolution number, any opposition? Will the authors, resolution number 11 has been brought to the floor. Will the authors of resolution number 11 please approach the board?
That's fine. Resolution number 11, reduce OSOG waste by reusing placards, submitted by Juneau-Alaska Youth for Environmental Action. Be it resolved by the Alaska Association of Student Governments, whereas OSOG conferences occur twice per year, whereas at every OSOG conference, 40 to 50 schools attend, whereas each school is given a new placard at every OSOG conference, whereas placards are generally made out of foam or regular poster board and wooden paint sticks, whereas a placard can be provided for each school with a stipulation that is reused at future conferences, whereas it is environmentally irresponsible to produce unnecessary waste, whereas most foam board is not recyclable and poses disposal issues, whereas the production of foam boards creates toxic byproducts, whereas host schools typically pay roughly $150 for placards per conference, whereas the cost of placards increases the overall conference cost, which is reflected in the registration fee for each school, whereas transportation of a small placard does not pose a serious inconvenience to participating schools. Therefore, be it resolved by the Alaska Association of Student Governments that placards shall be reused and will no longer be provided by the host school at each conference.
The author now has a 2-minute platform for the resolution.
Hey, so as the host school, I know firsthand about how long it takes to make each of your placards. This year, I believe you spent about 4 hours making the placards. And that's time you could have spent on a lot of other student council-related projects. At our conference, we decided to be a little bit more environmentally responsible, and we didn't use foam board, we used regular poster board. So that cut our costs down and made us feel better about how we're treating the earth. But at other conferences, they might not necessarily do the same thing. And so we propose this resolution so that OSOG is a more environmentally responsible organization. We are reducing both our impact on the environment and the cost of our conference, which is important to all of us because, I mean, we had, 10 resolutions submitted early because people wanted to pay less to come to the conference. And we feel that we know it's expensive for you guys to be here. So by cutting the cost of placards, we cut the cost of the conference, and we make OSOG a better organization.
We will now move on to regional reports.
Region 2 does not support this resolution.
Region 4 does not support this resolution.
Region 5 supports this resolution with noted opposition.
Region 6 does not support this resolution.
Region 7 does not support this resolution.
Okay. The floor is now open for debate on resolution number 11. The board recognizes Lumen Christie.
I'm sorry, I mean no disrespect, but I don't see how this is worth $150.
The board recognizes Ben Eilson with a point of information.
I'm Jeffrey Kazmarek, handing off the mic to Stephen Searles.
Hi, I'm Stephen. I'd just like to know if this is passed, when would this take effect? At what time?
The board directs your question to the parliamentarian.
It would take into effect as soon as it was passed, because it says will no longer. So as soon as it was passed, this would go into effect at the Ben Eilson conference, since this conference is done. Or if Juneau-Douglas wanted to coordinate with Ben Eilson, we could do something with the placards, but Ben Eilson would be the official start date.
All right, thank you.
The board recognizes Juneau-Douglas.
Johnny Elliott, passing the mic to Tori Talley.
These placards did not cost $150, not one of them. But when you get all of them together, as well as all of those and everything, it does cost a lot of money. And we went cost effective and didn't buy the foam board. But where most of the conferences I've been to have had foam board, and they've had printed out letters on it instead of painting, and that comes to about $150 total. And also, yeah, it's just something that it took our student council 4 hours one Sunday afternoon, and when you mess up, you have to redo the whole thing, and you're just getting more waste. And we could have been doing other things with our time that would have been more productive to our student council and to the AASG conference.
The board recognizes Lake and Penn with a point of information.
I am William Lynn, passing the mic off to Nathan Ward.
I think my question is directed at the author. All visiting schools would be required to create their own placards and then reuse them. And if so, do you believe that there should be a stipulation on the creation of them, like text size and legibility?
The board directs your question to the author.
Yeah, so this resolution states that at all future conferences, schools would be required to bring their own placard, or at the first conference after this takes effect, a placard could be provided for that school with a stipulation that they bring it to the following conferences and they do not request a new one at each conference. And we did not include any requirements for placard appearance, size, whatever. I mean, you can see Unalaska has their own that they have brought to many conferences. They have not complained about the size or the problem, and I have seen no objection from the executive board on the appearance of it. It's been accepted as a vote, so I think that's a good example of what placards could look like if you were to make your own.
The board recognizes Unalaska.
Taylor Holman, passing the mic off to Christian Escalante.
So I know you guys just use this as a happy example for this, but there have been some problems with ours. For one thing, we almost forgot it this conference. And then another is that it's kind of hard to get on the plane just because we have to figure out how to put it in a luggage or how to wrap it up and keep it safe. And then there's some schools that don't always come every single time, and they might not have a placard. There's just a lot of holes in the resolution, I believe.
The board recognizes Bethel Regional with a point of information.
My name is Elise McCabe, and I'm passing the mic to Haley O'Brien.
Hi, what would happen if you forgot your placard?
The board directs your question to the author.
We did not provide anything in the resolution for what would happen if you forgot your placard, but I would assume that you could find a way of making a placard. Most schools contain paper and writing utensils, which is essentially how we made these placards this year. There are ways to make a placard on short notice. So.
The board recognizes Haynes.
Zeke Frank from Haynes, passing the mic off to Chris Turner.
I am Chris Turner. I agree with the intent of this resolution, but I believe for if and when people forget their placards, that the school should provide at least some blank placards that will allow the schools that have forgotten them to just write their name on there, and it still cuts down on the cost and time of the host school to provide these placards, because a lot of schools, when they come in, they're coming in right as the conference starts. And as we all know, when AASG starts running, you don't have a lot of free time to go out and buy your own materials. And I believe that if the host conference would supply a certain percentage, a certain number of blank placards, that it would cut down on their time while still allowing people who forgot their placards to vote once AASG starts.
The board recognizes Cordova.
I'm Steven Swartzbart, passing the mic off to Enrique Zamudio.
I'd just like to say that when you are a host school, it is your
kind of responsibility for some things, and I think that when schools have hosted in the past, it was their responsibility to have placards for each school that was attending the conference in their school building. And so I think it is not the responsibility of the schools that are making the trip and paying the money to come to the school to attend the AASG conference.
Just a reminder, viewers are fine, but remember that this is the pro, so if you're supporting the resolution, please make your comments on this mic, you're fine. And then this is the con mic, so if you're not supporting the resolution, please use this microphone, just to clarify for debate. The board recognizes Monroe Catholic.
I'm Sierra Newman, and I'm passing the mic off to Andrew Walter.
Hi. So going along with that last one, sort of, I like how it should be part of the school's responsibility because it gives like a diversity. Like if you're thinking about back to conferences, which school had a better placard, and that was kind of exciting. Another thing is like how long do we use those placards? Because if we were still using the placards from the first conference in 1973, they might be a little bit tattered and like the fading away. And if we really want to be environmentally friendly, why don't we just use our hands?
The board recognizes North Pole with a point of information.
I'm Macy Key, passing the mic on to Aaron Tanner.
Okay, my question is directed towards the author.
Go ahead.
So if we're supposed to reuse our placards, how should we transport ours? Because most of these schools fly to places.
Yeah, so personally, I'm on a soccer team, and when we travel to Anchorage, we take 2 huge bags filled with balls. So I know it's possible to transport oddly shaped objects, heavy objects, and these placards are relatively small. There's ways to design them so they can fold up and fit in a standard suitcase. There's a lot of alternatives to just saying it's impossible for us to transport it. It's a fairly small piece of paper.
The board recognizes Juneau-Douglas.
Johnny Elliott, passing the mic to Tori Talley.
Yeah, it's not that hard to carry a piece of paper and a couple sticks, just saying. Yeah, football teams travel with all of their bags and everything, and they manage. Also, about forgetting to bring them, it's your student council members. There's a group of however many that are really smart and intelligent, so I'm sure you guys can remember to bring them. And also, as was said in my region meeting, a bunch of emails go out to your advisors. I don't know if you get them, like a bunch of emails before the conference, so I'm sure it would be added into those emails that you guys were gonna need to bring your own placards, and you'd have many, many, many reminders.
The board recognizes North Pole with a point of information.
I'm Macy Key, passing the mic on to Shelby Rood.
I'm Shelby Rood, and I have a question for the authors.
Go ahead.
If we had to do our own placards, would the registration fees decrease?
I cannot speak to whether or not can be guaranteed that it would decrease, but I know that a cost of $150 at each conference, divided up among all the schools that attend, that's a couple dollars per school. And even if the registration fee didn't decrease, that $150 could be spent for things like other things that you would want at your conference, like more food. I don't know.
Thank you. The board recognizes, hey guys, we're in order. Please be respectful of the authors. The board recognizes Ben Eielson.
I'm Jeffrey Kazmarek, passing off the mic to Colby Friel.
Ben Eielson is hosting the next AASG conference and working through the budget, and I'm not going to say specific numbers, but we have also budgeted a similar figure for placards, and that is not a significant figure when you compare it to the rest of the AASG budget. $150 is not a big deal. And also, because we are hosting the next conference, having to implement this change by the next conference would be could be a huge imposition on our school. So I move to amend the therefore statement to add at the end by the fall 2014 AASG conference.
Is there a second? Seconded by Bethel. So to clarify, we are now in discussion of the amendment made by Ben Eielson. So if you are not discussing the amendment, please be seated and clear the aisles. So are you guys discussing the amendment? Okay, the floor is now open for debate on the amendment to the resolution. Since there's no discussion on the amendment, we'll move to a vote. All in favor of the amendment to the resolution? All those opposed, same sign. The amendment passes. We are now back to discussion of the resolution as amended. The board recognizes Thunder Mountain.
Hi, I'm Zach Giannotti, and I'm handing the mic off to Raphael Sales.
As member of student government, I imagine you are responsible for representing your school, so I don't see what's so hard about making something that's going to impact your opinion to the whole state of Alaska.
I'm neutral. I'll tell you in a minute. The board recognizes Unalaska.
Amber Lee, passing the mic off to Andy Nguyen.
As nice as it is to be environmentally friendly, I think the decision whether schools provide placards or not should be up to the host school. If like the host school wants to provide placards for their schools visiting, they should have them. But if they want them to bring their own, they should like send like very friendly reminders and stuff.
The board recognizes Mount Edgecombe.
My name is Macy Kenworthy, and passing the mic off to Thomas Irvin.
Hi, my name is Thomas Irvin. One thing I'd like to state is, as student leaders, we should not be forgetting simple tasks as such. And with customized placards, it would represent who we stand for as a school and who we stand for as a region, and also reflect our school spirit.
The board recognizes Monroe Catholic.
I'm Andrew Welter, passing the mic off to Sierra Newman.
Hi, I'm Sierra Newman, and my point is directed towards the authors. First of all, I think the intent of this resolution is amazing, and it should be something that we as AASG pay very much attention to, but I don't think that this is the right way to do it. This isn't the right avenue to take if we want to make a big change, which as student leaders and as AASG, I believe we would like to do. We want to make big changes. And yes, we do have to start with baby steps, but this isn't the way to do it. I don't know how many people got to go to the student council party with our keynote, Amy, but she talked about how to make an event happen. And as we all know, AASG is a very, very big event. And one of the key things to making an event happen, the first thing she said was we need to ask. And that's, I think the budget for these, for $150, is a very easy thing to get out of your community. I know that I live in Fairbanks, and I was just working on a huge event that my friend and I were working on, and we knocked off about $1,200 just by asking around for support of our community. And I think a thing like AASG that is so highly supported by Alaska, I think if you went out and you advertised to your community, that one of those costs could get covered very easily. So.
The board recognizes, anyone with a placard over there? Matsu Career Tech.
Del Ziri, passing the mic off to Ariel Haas.
Hi, I'm Ariel Haas, and in lieu of current conversation to hopefully compromise for both parties, I move to amend the therefore statement to read, be it resolved by the Alaska Association of Student Governments that placards be brought by the attending schools, not by the host schools, given that the host provides solutions for schools that do not bring them.
Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Craig. Will you please submit your motion in writing? Your amendment in writing. So once we get the amendment on the board, then the floor will be open for debate. The floor is now open for debate on the amendment to the resolution. The board recognizes Ben Eielson.
I'm Jeffrey Kazmarek, handing off the mic to Sarah Schreiber.
Hello. I know personally we have already, for our conference, we've already assigned people to work on placards. We already have ideas for placards, and where I agree with this amendment, I would like to amend the amendment to add again at the end by the fall 2014 AASG conference to give an adequate amount of time for schools to figure out what they want to do and for us to follow through with our already pre-made plans.
Seconded by Juneau-Douglas. We are now in discussion of the amendment to the amendment. So with that, the floor is now open for debate on the amendment to the amendment. The board recognizes Lumen Christie.
I called a question.
Seconded by West Valley. All in favor of calling the question on the amendment to the amendment? All those opposed? The question has been called. We will now move to a vote on the amendment to the amendment. All those in favor? Any opposition? The amendment to the amendment passes. The floor is now open for debate to the amendment as amended. The board recognizes Hutchison.
I'm Catherine, passing the mic off to Christina.
I move to call the question.
Seconded by Bethel. We'll now move to a vote on calling the question to the amendment as amended. All in favor of calling the question? Any opposition? The question has been called. All those in favor of the amendment as amended? All those opposed? The amendment as amended passes. We are now back to the discussion of the resolution as amended. The board recognizes Lake and Penn.
Hi, I'm William, passing the mic off to Nathan Ward.
Hi. I would point out that we are not all from large schools. Many of us are from small rural schools that fly in on, bush planes. And if you can say, we all want to have awesome placards like Alaska does. But if you get into that, making an awesome placard that you also have to wrap and take care of, that's not actually an easy thing to tote around on bush planes when you're flying back and forth between villages. Thank you.
The board recognizes Hutchison.
I'm Catherine, passing the mic off to Christina.
I support the intent of the resolution, but I also feel like it's a bonding experience for the student councils to decorate their placards together and grow together and become a team that way. And I also feel like changing the placards every conference, because the student council members change, the people who come to the delegates that come to the conference are not going to be the same. It's just going to be less cost effective for the school themselves.
The board recognizes Lumen Christie.
I called a question.
Seconded by Craig. All those in favor of calling the question on the resolution? All those opposed to calling the question? The question has been called. We will now move to a vote on the resolution as amended. All in favor of resolution number 11?
Hey, everyone. Sorry. I thought that we'd gone over limited sidebar conversation. Please continue to limit sidebar conversation till the end of the General Assembly.
To be clear, we'll start the vote again. All those in favor of passing resolution number 11 as amended? All those opposed? We'll now call for a division of the House. All those in favor, don't move. All those in favor of resolution number 11 as amended, please move to this side. All those opposed to resolution number 11 as amended, please move to this side. Those abstaining from the resolution or abstaining from voting, please stay in the back in the middle. Are we good? Good. Calling the question does not mean we're at ease. Please do not talk. It makes it really hard for the e-board people to count, so. 13 over there. Okay, so we had 13 on this side, we had 18 on this side. Resolution number 11 fails. Please no snaps when a resolution does not pass. So to clarify what's going to happen next, I wrote the next resolution, so I cannot facilitate discussion on my own resolution. So that means Doug gets to be president. And Miles gets to be, sorry, not Miles, Anthony gets to be vice president for the resolution.
Public relations officer actually gets to. Well, he's doing it. Do you want to do this?
Okay, sorry, to clarify, as Parley Pro, do you want to do it?
I can do it, please.
Unless you give it up.
All right, just to clarify, when the vice president removes his or herself, next becomes the public relations officer's job. However, the public relations officer actually does want to do it, so he's going to be vice president. And Doug's going to be president.
I'll recognize the point of privilege before we continue.
The board recognizes West Valley with a point of privilege.
Hello, I'm Luke Raleigh-Rogers, and I was wondering if we could have a short period when a resolution as a whole is called to question to be voted for like the school to talk to each other and redecide if they want to be pro or con for something.
Thank you. We will do that. Alrighty. So with that, I entertain a motion to bring resolution number 12 to the floor. So moved by Huna, seconded by Kodiak. Is there any discussion on bringing resolution number 12 to the floor? Seeing none, we will proceed to a vote. All those in favor of bringing resolution number 12 to the floor, please raise your placards now. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. A resolution, would the authors of resolution number 12 please step forward?
Okay, I made it. All right. Resolution 12, support of the Farm to School program submitted by me of Monroe Catholic High School. Be it resolved by the Alaska Association of Student Governments. Whereas food affects every Alaskan and is an integral part of our society. Whereas food choices directly impact the health of Alaskan students. Whereas local foods are available in each region of Alaska. Whereas local food systems increase availability and access of affordable and healthy foods. Whereas locally grown, harvested, and made food products can strengthen our local economies. Whereas lessening Alaska's reliance on imported food increases our ability to provide for ourselves. Whereas the goals of the Farm to School program is, quote unquote, to have product produced and or harvested in Alaska available in the school food environment. Whereas the Alaska Food Policy Council would support local food system leaders, events, and activities to support Alaska's food system. Therefore, be it resolved by the Alaska Association of Student Governments that students of Alaska support the Farm to School program by the Alaska Food Policy Council. Action statement. If resolved by the General Assembly of AASG, this will be sent to the Alaska Food Policy Council to be used to lobby for the Farm to School program.
The author now has a 2-minute period in which she can state her platform.
So I was doing a presentation to the Alaska School Principals Association and the Alaska Food Policy Council. You guys more commonly know them as the Alaska Grown people. So the Alaska Grown shirts, the Alaska Grown pens that were distributed at the conference. So they're behind this. The Farm to School program is just supporting local foods in all of our schools. So I go to a privately funded school, so this won't personally affect me at all, but I've been doing student council, you know. So, and I haven't heard anything good about school lunches, so hopefully this will improve school lunches, or at least you'll get fresher, better foods. So this won't directly change any policies in your school district or around the state. It won't be sent to the state board or anything. Instead, the Alaska Food Policy Council, so the Alaska Grown people, will just be using this resolution to help lobby for this program in Alaskan high schools. And also it won't require any like funding from us or anything, of course, or from your districts. They will, and they'll also be supporting through funding. So if you think your school's gonna have a really hard time, you know, if you're really rural or far away or anything like that, if you think your school is gonna have a really hard time getting these resources and these foods, the Alaska Food Policy Council has the resources and funding to support local foods being supported in schools. This won't replace any of your school lunch programs. Well, it might depending on where you're from, but it's just gonna help your school lunch programs is the intent of the program. And they asked us as an organization to just make this resolution to support this program. So it's just to help school lunches, make them healthier for our students.
We will now move on to region reports.
Due to lack of time, Region 2 has not discussed this resolution.
Region 4 supports this resolution.
Region 5 did not discuss this resolution.
Region 3 did not discuss this resolution.
Region 6 supports this resolution.
Region 7 has not discussed this resolution.
The floor is now open for debate on resolution number 12. The board recognizes Hutchison.
Please limit sidebar conversation.
Christina Kiesler, passing the mic off to Val Swan.
Sorry, one moment. General Assembly, please respect the author, please respect the people who are speaking, and please respect yourselves and limit conversation.
Anyways, I think this is going to help Alaska because then we'll have better food because I notice a lot of, especially my school, they look at the food and just say, ugh, it's disgusting. So I think it would help the community and be more healthier.
The board recognizes Lake and Peninsula with a point of information.
Hey, I'm William, passing the mic off to Nathan Ward.
I have a question directed at the author.
Go ahead.
What locally harvested foods would this involve, as in subsistence harvested foods or other things?
So I personally don't know specifically what's going to be available for every single school in the state of Alaska. However, if you would like to learn more about the Farm to School program, they have a really cool, I have a copy of it, they have a really cool diagram of all of the foods that are available in each region of Alaska, and it's actually a pretty sizable amount of food that are available in each region, and it's really diverse. So across the board, there's a lot of different foods available that can be locally produced and are locally harvested in your regions already. So there's a lot of food that, I mean, I didn't even think of for a lot of even our more rural regions. So there's a lot of resources and opportunity.
The board recognizes Sitka.
Colton Cummins, passing the mic over to Owen Fulton.
Hello again, everyone. I'd like to talk a little bit about not only this resolution, but something that we've been running in Sitka for a while, which is the Fish to Schools program. The Fish to Schools program in Sitka High brings locally caught fish to the schools, serves them to the students, and it leads to a better community involvement in the schools, leads to a much more healthier alternative for school lunches. And I think that this resolution is going to lead to a better community connection between schools and their communities. It's going to lead to healthier students, healthier lunches, and it's something that we as AASG should definitely support. Sitka stands in firm affirmation of the resolution. Thank you.
The board recognizes Petersburg.
Shaylee Dahl, passing the mic to Carly Tate. Petersburg High School has recently started transitioning to this program, and we have seen such a drastic change in our food program that kids have started eating school lunch again. For a while, no one touched our school lunch because it was all frozen, but now that we see fresh vegetables, fresh fish, fresh meat, it has positively put our school's faith back in our program. We want to eat at school and we enjoy the food that we are getting. So we
strongly support this resolution.
The board recognizes Chivak.
Giovanni Brown, passing the mic to Mary Pingaik.
We support this resolution, but all the privileges may not be available to rural villages because of the shipping, and like you'd rarely get fresh fruits and vegetables out there along with the cost.
The board recognizes Bethel.
I'm King Gillen, passing the mic on to Kate McWilliams.
Hi, I'm Kate McWilliams. Because fresh produce can be so expensive in the rural villages, a lot of kids don't have access at home, so it's nice for them to get that nutrition at school.
The board recognizes Skagway. Excuse me. The board recognizes Haynes.
Chris Turner, passing the mic off to Zeke Frank.
Seeing as we all pretty much agree on this and we have very limited time, I move to call to question.
Seconded by Unalaska. Seeing as there is no discussion on calling the question, we will proceed to a vote. All those in favor of calling the question, please raise your placards. All opposed, please raise your placards. The question has been called. We will now proceed to a vote on the resolution. All of those in favor of resolution number 12, please raise your placards. All opposed, same sign. Resolution number 12 passes. Would the author like to ask for unanimous consent?
Absolutely.
Is there any opposition to passing resolution number 12 with unanimous consent? Resolution number 12 passes with unanimous consent.
Thank you. The board recognizes Sitka.
Colton Cummins, handing over the mic to Owen Fulton.
I'd like to move that the meeting be extended another 15 minutes to allow adequate time for one more resolution to be passed.
Is there a second? Seconded by Hutchison. The floor, we are still in order. The floor is now open for discussion of the motion.
All right, please limit sidebar conversation. Just because a new motion is on the floor doesn't mean we get to be really loud.
The board recognizes Lumen Christie.
I like lunch.
The board recognizes Juneau-Douglas.
Johnny Elliott, passing the mic to Ruby Steedle.
Hey, as your host school, we would really like for you to be fed. And right now, we're going to have a half an hour lunch. If we cut it down another 15 minutes, you'll have a 15-minute lunch, and you probably won't even be able to get through the line. So I think this is a pretty poor choice.
The board recognizes no one. The board recognizes North Pole.
I'm Macy Key, passing the mic on to Sydney Collier.
City Collier. I want lunch, and I'm just kind of getting nauseated because I haven't eaten in a while, and I can't concentrate, so I would like to eat. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor of cutting our lunch another 15 minutes, or extending our GA another 15 minutes? All opposed? Motion fails. It is 11:21. And with that, please be reminded that we only have 9 minutes. So let that sink in. We have 9 minutes. So with that, I entertain a motion to bring, what number? What's next? I entertain a motion to bring resolution number 15 to the floor. So moved by Thunder Mountain, seconded by Kodiak. Is there any discussion on bringing resolution number 15 to the floor? We'll now move to a vote. Oh, just kidding. Is there discussion on bringing it to the floor? Go ahead. The board recognizes North Pole.
Okay. You guys just know my name. Do we have time to go over this whole entire resolution before lunch? Because do you think, would you want to, it's kind of weird to maybe start a resolution, already go eat and stuff. Do we have another general assembly today?
Just to respond to your question, we do not have another general assembly. We have another general assembly, but it is not to discuss resolutions. This is our very last opportunity to discuss resolutions. So it is entirely up to the general assembly if we spend 9 minutes on this resolution.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave it to you guys to spend 9
7
minutes on
minutes.
this resolution.
8
7
minutes.
Okay. Sorry.
The board recognizes Lake and Penn.
Hey, I'm William, passing the mic off to Nathan Ward.
In light of the fact of the time that we have left and the fact that if we do not finish the next resolution, it will not be rediscussed by a General Assembly until the spring conference, I move to end the General Assembly. Is that unconstitutional?
You can move to recess in the middle of a motion if that's what you want to do.
We aren't going to be ending the General Assembly because the General Assembly officially ends at the end of the conference,
But
if that clarifies.
You can move to recess like we've been doing.
So I move for recess then?
So moved by Thunder Mountain. Seconded by Thunder Mountain. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion? Why?
This discussion is gonna make us waste more time.
You were not recognized by the chair. Please be recognized by the chair.
It's over now. So we're now discussing the motion to recess. Any other discussion? All in favor? Any opposition? Okay, we are at recess, but don't move.
All right, so I would like to address the conversation during the General Assembly. Right now, we display ourselves as a credible organization, and that's part of why we pass resolutions, because AASG has a lot of say, or at least that's what we say. If in General Assembly we can't even respect our peers enough to stop talking and respect ourselves enough to listen to debate, how do we maintain that credibility? I do ask that you keep that in mind for future General Assemblies and future functions here even at Juneau-Douglas, and remember that we do want to keep our credibility. We do want to be treated as mature, responsible young adults. So please continue to limit sidebar conversation.
So we are at recess, and just head to lunch, right? Yep. All right, let's head to lunch, guys.